Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are back in the TBM-930. We're going to be doing a full flight from Las Crusas down to Chihuahua, Mexico. Figured it'd be a fun little flight, get us out of the country a little bit, start branching out some of these flights to make them a little bit more interesting. Obviously, you know, with the new world update, we're going to be checking out Europe here pretty quick, and then just getting a ton of practice back into the TBM as well as the A320. We're going to be flying the A320 later on this evening, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that video as well. We're also going to be getting back into Sky Park and then doing some more VFR flight training. Quick update, the A320 guide is just about updated and complete. I had to make a few revisions and few changes based on a lot of the changes that fly-by-wire is coming out with. So don't think that project is forgotten. For those of you who purchased the guide, stay with me. I promise there's more updates coming. Just fly-by-wire is changing everything so quickly for the good. Obviously, they're doing a fantastic job. That's not a bad thing. It's just now it requires me to do some reformatting and restructuring of some of the documents. The G1000 guide, we got VOR navigation coming to it. I've got all the screenshots completed. Now it's just a matter of assembling it as well, while also working on the TBM-930 guide, which is my primary focus at this time. I'm trying to get the first rendition out before the end of the month. That way everyone who subscribed this month to the Patreon site gets that benefit. I'm really trying to drive that on home and drive that quickly, so hopefully you guys will see that soon. Today's flight we will be using, we're going to be trying out Pilot to ATC. I also purchased the ATC Chatter by Stick and Rudder Studios, added that to Pilot to ATC, so we'll see what that's like. Now, unfortunately, we're at a Unicom. I sort of didn't think about that when we did the flight, but that's all right. Hopefully, when we get into Mexico, we'll get some more traffic going on. So, with that being in mind, let's go ahead and get our flight plan entered into the flight computer. We'll get the engine started. The weights and balances are already set. We're taking 2 passengers today down into Mexico. The flight plan in Pilot to ATC is already imported and complete. We just need to get the aircraft set up and ready to go. Weights and balances are already set, so it's just a matter of starting up and getting out of here. Alright, so jumping in the seat here, let's go ahead and start getting her powered on. First, do a quick walkthrough, make sure everything's set for the pre-flight. We're going to set the ignition switch to off for now. Auxiliary boost pumps to off. Fuel selection down into the manual position. Autopilot trims are off. Lights are set. Air conditioning, we're going to want that set off. Floor heat, we're going to want, or hot airflow, we're going to want that off. Parking brake is set. Fuel selection set to one tank or the other. Throttle is in cutoff. Flaps are up. Alternate static source is pushed in and closed. All right, let's get some electrical power. So we're going to go crash bar up, battery, generator. Bring up the MFD. Alright, with the MFD set, do a quick lights test, landing gear, and verify landing gear down and secured. Micro switch closed and covered. Pressurization dump switch set to norm and covered. Bleed switch set to off. All circuit breakers in and closed. And we are ready for engine start. Again, we already fueled the aircraft, so we're carrying 978 pounds of fuel today. Actually, I need to bring that down. It looks like it reset. I forgot I had to do a reset, so let's set that back. And then let's set our weights. Thought I had this done already. So 230 pounds on the pilot side. No co-pilot today. Front passenger, we're going to put her at 165 pounds. Front passenger right, 210 pounds, and we're carrying 63 pounds of luggage. So still within the center of gravity limitations, a little bit on the aft side, but not too bad. Go ahead and close that up, and let's get the aircraft started up. So ignition switch to on, auxiliary boost pumps to on, and let's give our ignition a 2-second count. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Clear our master caution. 13% on the NG. Let's get the throttle. Oh, there it goes. Out of cutoff into idle. Let's go into high idle. Once NG hits 53, we move into high idle. Oh, sorry, I looked away. Goodness. All right, so NG, once it stabilizes at its max percentage, move into flight idle. Whoops. Yes, I know. Sorry, guys. I let that get way too hot. I had to look away. I had my little one woke up this morning and decided to pop on over and say hello. So forgive me for that. Kiddos always got to come first. Sort of goes back to, you know, it doesn't matter how tough you are, a little girl hands you a telephone, you answer that thing. Same kind of principle. Doesn't matter what you're flying. She walks in, I have to answer. Otherwise she gets mad at me. Alright, so let's get our pitot heater on, stall heater turned on, inertial separator, we will wait until takeoff. We're probably going to be using some de-ice today. As you can see, the weather's pretty nasty up there, so I'm expecting pretty cold temperatures up at altitude. We're only at 6 degrees Celsius down on the ground, so let's get the air conditioning and environmental system turned back on. We can configure a hot airflow as desired now. Pressurization either to max diff or auto. Let's come up top again. Ignition to auto, auxiliary boost pumps to auto, and fuel selection to auto as well. Autopilot systems on. Nav lights on, pulse light on. You can set your dimmer if you'd like. Turn your cabin lights if necessary. And oxygen will wait until we are in excess of 10,000 feet. Alright, so let's get down to the cockpit here again. And let's start entering our flight plan. Alright, so here's our flight route for today, or our flight plan. We're going to scroll on down here. You can see we're going to be using runway 30 going direct to Beacon, direct to Umeto, and then using the Umeto 1 Bravo into Roberto Figueroa, I think it was. I can't remember the name of the airport. Into Chihuahua, Mexico. And we're going to be coming in on a 3-6 right approach using the ILS-4. Alright, so let's see what we get here. Now, I can't remember if that's a Unicom as well. If it is, we're going to be using the VOR. And I'll show you guys later on the approach plate how we get onto the approach. We'll be using the VOR navigation into the approach. And then once we turn on the final, we'll activate the ILS. Alright. And if weather clears up before then, we may just switch over to a VFR approach. Gosh, I can't talk today. Alright. So now, let's get our flight route in. So we're going to come down to MFD, flight plan, at our origin. We are currently at Kilo Lima Romeo Uniform, Las Crusas. Enter. Add destination, Mike, Charlie Uniform. Oh, Fierro, sorry. Roberto Fierro. Alright, and hit enter here. Then add our first waypoint. And we are going to, what did I say? Bravo, Echo, Charlie, Oscar, November. And then going over to Uniform, Mike, Echo, Delta, Oscar. Enter. Oh, I do that every time. I want to use that scroll wheel so bad. I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I still, every time, I want to use that scroll bar or scroll wheel. Alright, so we're done entering the intermediate waypoints. Now we're going to enter our procedures. We don't have any departure procedure today. We're just taking off from runway 30. So we're going to come over here to procedures. And the reason why we're not going to enter a departure... Oh, hey, cool. That's again nice. Yeah, it doesn't even let you do it here, so that's fine. But literally, normally if it has one available, you can't set it direct. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, and I don't know if it's possible yet in this aircraft. It is a modded aircraft. All the mods that I use for this aircraft will be in the link in the description below, so make sure you hit that show more button to see all the description information. And we are looking for... Oh, let's back up. MMCU arrival. Let's change our runway. We're not using that runway. Meta. There it is. Meta 1 Bravo. Alright, and 36 right. Transition, there isn't one, so we're going to hit load. Then we're going to go to the approach. Now, this is all being hopeful. This could change. But we're looking for the ILS 36 right, number 4. With the transition. Let's see what Pilot ATC has us at. Come on, get over here. Thank you. Alright, CU 400. That's interesting. Alright, well, let's go to the charts. So we're going to be looking for Mike Charlie uniform. Pull up the chart here. Oh, wrong button. Let's check the approaches. 36 ILS 4. And our transition, let's see here. So we're going to be coming in from over here, so it looks like Elvin will be our transition. So in that case, we're not going to be probably using the... Well, no, it's got us here. Or is that the missed approach? Oh, well, that's going to be easy. Gaddick is going to be our transition point. So we're not going to... Looks like we're not using the VOR. That's our VOR right there. But we're coming in this way, so it's going to be much easier. Alright, well, makes it easy. So Gaddick is our approach, or is our transition onto the approach. We're just going to hit load. We don't want to hit activate yet. That would be bad, as we're nowhere close to the approach. I've heard that could be a problem. Alright, but the flight plan is now entered and complete. We can scroll in and out if we want and see it. But pretty straightforward. There isn't going to be a whole lot to it. We're looking at about 250 miles, 240 give or take. Yep, about 240 miles or so. Shouldn't be too bad though. Hopefully the weather clears up. Once we get airborne, we'll get that weather radar on and see if we can find a better altitude. We are set for 22,000 feet is what we're going to be looking for. But again, with this weather, we may try to go higher than that, see if we can get above it. So let's just see what we get. Alright, so our flight plan is entered, so now we just need to get ready for taxi out. Some of the information may have changed from, if you guys saw anything previously, the sim crashed on me, so I had to start some of this over again. But let's go ahead and set our initial altitude. Oop, I don't want altitude mode on. I want altitude bug selected. We're already at almost 5,000, so we're going to set us up to about 15,000 for the initial climb out. We're going to use flight level change today. We're going to set our climb out speed at about 120 knots. There we go. Should get us a nice strong climb. Let's go ahead and match the heading bug. And we are ready to go. Let's set our takeoff flaps. Taxi lights already on. Check, 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 check. Autopilot systems on. Navigation system set. Flight plans entered. Comms are set. Gear checked. De-icing is on. Inertial separator on for taxi takeoff. And actually we'll have the inertial separator on for quite a while. Given how gross this weather is, we don't want to take any ice into the intake on climb out. Or cruise for that matter. Turn our flight directors on. We'll actually use nav mode when it's time. So once we get airborne, get the gear up and flaps up, we'll activate yaw damper and the autopilot. Alright, we are ready to go. Let's get out of here. So, parking brake released. Las Crusas Unicom, November 852 Alpha Tango, taxiing via Alpha Delta to runway 22 for departure to the southwest. We're getting snow. Oh, that's just fabulous. Yes, I know. Apparently, it got cold. Then again, it's snowing all over Texas, so that's legit. It should make things interesting on the takeoff. If we turn the pulse light on? Yeah, okay. Las Crusas Unicom, November 852 Alpha Tango, crossing runway 30 via Alpha. Actually, I guess via Delta would have been more accurate. Bravo actually would have been accurate. Fail. Alright, there's Delta. Las Crusas Uniform, November 852 Alpha Tango, crossing 26 via Delta. That was a fail again. That was runway 30. Gosh, screwed myself up. Sometimes I feel weird talking to myself with that stuff, so I think it gets in my head. But it's good practice. And even saying the wrong thing is good practice, because as long as you catch that you said the wrong thing. Although, I think every single one of my transmissions so far have been incorrect. Hopefully we'll get the last one right, huh? So where I messed myself up is instead of using the airport markings, I was looking here on Navigraph, and this is 2.6. Come on, get off my screen. Yeah, that's what I was worried was happening. By the way, this is pretty modded aircraft right now. I've got two different performance mods attached to it. The G3000 mod, as well as obviously the cockpit livery. If you guys are interested in any of these mods, I do highly recommend the G3000 mod above all else. It adds significant functionality to the system. So I absolutely recommend that. But if you guys are interested in that, make sure you hit the show more button in the description so you can see the full description. You'll find all the links necessary down below. As pretty typical with most of my videos, I always try to add the mods or any links or tools that I use. Las Crusas Unicom, November 852 Alpha Tango, holding short runway 22 for southwest departure. I need to readjust my brakes. Strobe light on. We're set. Las Crusas Unicom, November 852 Alpha Tango, taking runway 22 for southwest departure. Alright, this should be a nice icy takeoff. Flaps are set. Let's get out of here. And takeoff power set. Come on, baby. We're 90 knots. There it is. Rotating. Positive rate indicating. Gear up. Whoa. Nasty weather indicating. Man, we are blind. Come on, baby. Climb out. Alright. Let's get those flaps up. And let's bring on the autopilot. We get the yaw damper on. There we go. Alright, TBM, my girl. She's all yours. Las Crusas Unicom. November 852 Alpha Tango, climbing through 6500, departing to the south. Alright, we're going to be on 10,000 very quickly here. Let's get our oxygen turned on. And let's set our altitude bug. Let's take her all the way up to 20,000. How's that for a view, man? You're blind. Right on the money with the torque, man. There we go. Starting to get in some clearer weather here. Negative 26 degrees outside temperature. 26 degrees Celsius, nonetheless. There we go. We're climbing like a bullet. Love this plane, man. Gets going. Powers through, powers through. We'll make sure we're cleared all the haze and then, well, actually I guess we're good now. We can turn the initial separator off. Now we're going to have to watch our torque. You can see, since we turned the inertial separator off, we got that power back. So I'm going to pull a little bit of power off. Man, she just doesn't care, does she? I'm literally, look at this, I'm pulling the throttle back. There she goes. Keep it under 100%. She doesn't need to be at 100%. Boy, she wants to be, though. There she goes. The torque's coming right back up. Go for it. You want it? Take it, girl. Alright, so what are we at here? Approaching 18,000 feet. Let's switch our altimeters back to standard. 2902, 18,000 on the tape. And let's take our altitude up to our cruise level of 22,000. There we go. Beautiful. Alright, let's see if we can get a hold of Albuquerque Center here. Albuquerque Center, TBM-2 Alpha Tango at 22,000 with you.
TBM-2 Alpha Tango Squawk 3302 altimeter 3019er.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. What do you say? Squawk 3320? Squawk 3320, TBM-2 Alpha Tango.
TBM-2 Alpha Tango Squawk 3302.
Oh. 3302, no, or TBM-2 Alpha Tango. Busted. Alright, there we go. And let me make sure it's turned on and put
TBM-2 Alpha Tango radar contact.
Alright, we're golden. Alright, so all the bugs worked out, all the issues worked out. Looks like we figured it out. It didn't like me saying November, and I think it's just, again, I need to do more of the Microsoft voice training. So, by the way, guys, if you have Pilot to ATC and you're struggling with it, you want to do the voice training within Windows, okay, the speech recognition training. And it'll say all kinds of random stuff, but do it again and again and again and again. Don't just do it once or twice. I would recommend over a couple of days, break it up because it gets just awful, but I would recommend at least 10 times. And it gets really good. It really does get better each time that you do it. And then you can start talking faster. You can start, if you don't enunciate quite as well as one should, it starts picking up on that a whole lot easier. I really recommend that. So if you're struggling with it, it never hears you, you're getting frustrated, just do some of those trainings, and you can just go to Start menu on Windows 10 and start typing speech recognition, open that up, and there should be a train my voice or train my computer, something to that effect. But anyways, so we are up at our cruise altitude. I'm perfectly fine with the altitude we're at. We're above the clouds. We're above the nastiness. Hopefully the weather clears up before we get into Chihuahua, Mexico, and we have a nice pretty approach. We'll see what happens. But I will catch you guys a bit closer to the descent. We'll be looking at the descent probably... Let's take a peek here. Oh, yeah, we probably got about 200 miles to go before I worry about the descent, give or take. At about 70 miles or so, we'll start planning for the descent and determine when to execute. Alright, we're not particularly high, so we don't have to descend very quickly. I would guess about 40 miles before our target altitude is when we'll start bringing her in. Alright, so I will catch you guys when we get closer to our top of descent. Alright guys, so we haven't heard anything further from ATC on this flight, which I'm not anticipating much coming in. We'll see what happens as we get closer. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So we're approaching our top of descent. We're supposed to be above 20,000 in Meadow. We just passed over it, but we need to be above 16,000 at Charlie Uniform 418. So we're going to go ahead and start our descent here. If we move the map off here, we can see that we're coming up on 50 miles away. So I'm going to give it probably about another 10 miles, we'll wait to about 40 miles, 35 miles, somewhere in that range, and then we will start our descent down into Chihuahua, Mexico. So we're going to go, I'm going to set my altitude now, and we're going to start just setting it down to the 16,000 target. Once we get in closer, we'll get our ATIS, and then go from there. So if I don't hear anything from ATC soon, I'm going to start my own descent. Still got a few minutes that I can hold off. We're at 30 miles, so... Let's go ahead and start our descent. Alright, so what we're going to be using is flight level control again. Actually, let's use vertical speed on the descent. Tend to find that better. So we're just going to activate vertical descent, and we're going to descend at about 2,400 feet per minute. Get us where we need to be. I'm going to pull some power off. That way we don't come down like a bullet. Don't want to go too far. Alright, as you guys can see here, we're actually descending very rapidly. So I'm going to actually reduce our descent rate about 1,000 feet per minute for the remainder. Pull that range down again. Still waiting for ATC to give us a new frequency, so we're still outside of the range, it looks like. Either that or it's not available in pilot to ATC, but we'll see. Oh, now we're getting close. There we go. So let's get ATIS. Alright. We reached our altitude. I'm going to start descending us further, though. Darn it, come on. These buttons make no sense. It drives me nuts. And then now, let's get our vertical speed going again. Oops. First stage flaps. Come on. I hate it when you do this. Alright, we're going to tune the ILS. Ugh, come on, Navigraph. I hate it when it does this. I hate programs that force you to update. Like, don't tell me what I have to do. Drives me nuts. Anyway, so let's see here. We're looking for runways. We're looking for the star. Actually, we're looking for the approach. 364 ILS. And the ILS frequency is 111.9. So let's come over to our radios. Nav 1. 1119er. Transfer. Alright, we got our radio in place. Lights are set. Come off oxygen. Turn the inertial separator on. Should have had it on while we were descending through the clouds. I forgot about it. Alright, we can see the glide slope registering, so I'm going to go ahead now and switch over to the localizer. Tower, TBM-2 Alpha Tango turning downwind.
TBM-2 Alpha Tango call turning final for runway 36 right.
Tower, TBM-2 Alpha Tango final for 36 right.
TBM-2 Alpha Tango winds are 332 at 11 knots, clear to land runway 36 right.
Clear to land 36 right, 2 Alpha Tango. Alright, let's go into the approach mode. Put our gear down. A little early, actually. I probably didn't need to do that 10 miles out, but it's alright. It's alright. So we're a little below the glide slope. So what's going to happen is the diamond's going to come down. As soon as it reaches our current altitude, the aircraft should take over and follow it the rest of the way in. And that, look at this, it's doing it again. Like, it is literally forcing me to do this. It literally closed the window I had open and made me reopen it. Like, dude. I hate programs that make you do that. I really do. And from what I can tell, there's no way to disable that. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Won't be the last. But it's like, dang, man. Alright, so we're either going to get off the runway at Delta, which will be our first taxiway out, or we'll have to taxi all the way down to Alpha, to the other end of the runway. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get her stopped fast enough. Depends how badly I fly. So we're just getting ready to intercept the glide slope. Getting close. We're going to be looking for 85 knots on the approach. Flaps are set. Once we disable the autopilot, we'll make sure to disable the yaw damper as well. We want to make sure we have full authority of the aircraft at takeoff and landing. This is something I did incorrectly in my previous videos. So on takeoff and again on the approach, once you take over control of the aircraft, you need to have yaw damper disabled. We only turn yaw damper on when we're ready to activate the autopilot, and then it goes off with the autopilot as well. And we just captured the glide slope. Alright, so now we're going to have to watch our speed. We can set our go-around altitude, which we'll set for 2,000 feet. Oops. Like, you have to barely tap the buttons. You hold it for even a split second longer and it goes like full speed. Drives me crazy. Like, kind of meet me in the middle, bud. We're 7 miles out. So from here, we'll just be following it on in. Alright, so we're about 5 miles out now. Reduce power a little bit further. Get us onto the approach speed. Looking for 85 knots. You see we're crabbing too. Good crosswind. Is that 11 knot crosswind? Yeah, that's a good one. Although, according to this, we're getting pushed the wrong direction, but alright. Unless that's just the autopilot overcompensating. I don't know. I mean, it's flying true, so. We're on course, that's what matters. Alright, how are we doing here? About 3 miles. Showing us a little below glide slope. So I could have flown a lot faster in. Been distracted looking at everything else that we got coming up here. but that's all right. So about 8 miles, you know, you'd go flaps 1, about 5 to 6 miles gear down, full flaps. I had put it way too far out. 10 miles, that was too much. 500. There we go. All right, so we're at 500 feet, though. I am going to take control of the aircraft. So first thing I'm going to do is disable yaw damper and clear that autopilot. So aircraft is ours. Definitely a bumpy day. That is not me rocking the airplane like that. Pretty area though. This looks gorgeous. Let me get a better camera angle here. I'm still trying to keep my diamond on the glide slope. So you can see we still get that indication even with the autopilot turned off. So you still follow your diamond. I'm sort of feathering the throttle back and forth as I need to. And try to stick it on the number. Yeah, we're not going to make delta. There's no way. Look at that. That's short. Unless I put it right on the threshold. Let's see if we can do that. I'm going to pull the power back here. So I'm going to go a little bit further nose down. See if we can't capture it right on the end here. There's that crosswind. Now it's getting me. Pushing me over to the right. Looking for that approach speed. Alright, coming off the power, coming off the power. Come on, baby, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Throttles up.
TBM-2 Alpha Tango exit runway when able.
Yeah, gotcha. Wheels are down, reverse prop. Oh, cake, she stopped in like 10 feet. I don't know how legit that is, but... Are we still in reverse prop? So, that seemed a little odd. You know, I wonder... No. Alright. Well, that is it for today's flight, guys. At this point, we'll just taxi over to parking, shut her down. So first thing, we're going to clear the landing lights, clear the strobe light, get our flaps up now that we're clear of the runway, and take her home and park it. We can remove the flight directors. We don't need them anymore. And we can reset our GPS, turn the bearings off if you want. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick flight. It wasn't too bad. A little bumpy on the way in. Just remember things that I did wrong there. Landing gear flaps way too soon. Don't start really doing that until you're inside 10 miles. 10 miles, you want to be right about 180 knots, somewhere 180, 200 knots. Make sure you're following your glide slope. So we were okay there. We were a little low, but any higher than that, we would have been in the clouds. I didn't want to be in the clouds. And then make sure when you're in the clouds with the TBM, both at takeoff and landing, and then obviously, like I said, in the clouds, any kind of icing conditions, make sure that your initial separator is on. That way you don't take any chunks into the intake and blow your engine or damage your engine out. But 10 miles, start slowing down. 8 miles, flaps 1. 5 to 6 miles, gear down, full flaps. Stabilized, 3 to 4 miles, anytime from 3 miles on, if you're using an ILS approach, you can either follow the autopilot all the way in, again, till about 200-300 feet, then you still need to land the aircraft. There's no auto land. But I typically remove my autopilot at about about 500 feet, give or take. And then just make sure autopilot yaw damper is off for takeoff and landings. But other than that, not too bad of a flight. Everything else went pretty smooth. I'm pretty sure I figured out what happened to ATC. I think me switching frequencies too soon, I missed a command and it canceled the IFR flight. But other than that, yeah, good times. Stay tuned for a video to follow right after this one where we showcase the new mod that or the updated mod and all of its features that just came out a few hours ago. So excited to show you guys that. Stand by.